Imagine, for a second, a king returning to his city. But he's not just a ruler, he's its very soul. Today, we are going to dive into an ancient story about a homecoming so powerful it felt like the entire universe just had to stop and celebrate. This is the incredible story of Krishna's return. Our story kicks off not with a sight, but with a sound. It's a single, powerful blast from Krishna's conch shell, the Panchajanya. Now, this wasn't just any old horn blast. The text says it was a sound so powerful, it made fear itself afraid. I mean, think about that. This was it. This was the divine announcement that the long-awaited king was finally approaching his city, Dwarka. So you gotta wonder, right? How can just one sound spark such an absolutely ecstatic citywide reaction? Well, let's dig into the power behind this divine announcement. You see, the ancient texts get super poetic about this. This wasn't just a signal, it was a sacred act, a moment of pure beauty. The image they give us is of a white conch, colored red by Krishna's lips, looking like a majestic swan singing in a field of red lotuses. The announcement itself was literally a work of art.
And boom, the effect was immediate. The people of Dwarka didn't just hear it, they felt it in their bones. They dropped absolutely everything and just rushed out of the city gates. Their hearts were just overflowing with this intense longing, this eagerness to finally see the one they loved more than anything.
So how does a city even prepare for an event like this? I'll tell you, this was way more than just rolling out a red carpet. This was a full-on sensory explosion of joy that completely transformed every single corner of Dwarka. Okay, try to picture this. Every city gate, every doorway, every single road, covered in festive arches. There are so many colorful flags and banners waving in the breeze that they actually create a canopy, shielding the streets from the sun. The air itself is filled with the scent of fragrant water sprinkled on the roads. And everywhere you look, there are offerings of fruits, flowers, and rice. Even at the door of every single house, there's a personal welcome waiting, pots of water, incense, and glowing lamps. I mean, can you even imagine? The entire city wasn't just decorated, it was completely saturated, totally drenched in this atmosphere of pure, unfiltered joy. And get this, it wasn't just the everyday citizens. A massive procession came out to greet him, and it was a perfect snapshot of the city's heart. You had the most powerful leaders, Brahmins chanting sacred hymns, courtesans with these brilliant, shining earrings, and this whole vibrant crew of artists, actors, dancers, singers, all performing stories about Krishna's greatness. The entire social fabric of the city all came out as one. Okay, so the stage is set. The procession is there, the city is buzzing. What happens when the king actually meets his people? I mean, how does one person greet an entire city full of adoring subjects? This is what's really amazing. This is where you see just how personal his connection was. He didn't just do a generic wave from a chariot, no way. He met every single person right where they were. He bowed his head to the elders, greeted others with respectful words, pulled so many into a heartfelt hug, shook hands with friends. For some, all it took was a simple, loving smile. He made every single person feel seen. And the love coming back at him, just as intense. The people were so overcome with emotion they could barely speak. Their voices were choked up, and the text compares it to how little children babble to a father they absolutely adore. This wasn't just respect for a king, this was deep familial love. All right, so the massive public celebration now starts to wind down, and we move into the most intimate moments of his return. After greeting the whole city, Krishna finally walks into the palace. And his very first stop is the most personal one of all, his parents' palace. This is where the public party gives way to a raw, private, emotional reunion. The description here is, well, it's incredibly powerful and visceral. The moment his mothers see their son after so long, they are so overwhelmed with love that milk literally begins to flow from their breasts. Their hearts are so full, they can't even speak. They just hold him and bathe him in their tears of joy. Just a moment of pure, unrestrained parental love.
From there, he moves to his own chambers for a very different, but you can bet just as emotional, reunion with his 16,000 wives.
And here we see such a powerful contrast.
His mother's love was this open floodgate, right? But his wife's love, while just as profound, was more restrained by modesty after being apart for so long. They greeted him first with their minds, then with their eyes, and then through their sons. They tried so hard to hold back their happy tears, but the emotion was just too strong. It was a quieter reunion, but no less deep.
So you take this whole incredible story, the divine sound, the city's wild welcome, these deeply personal reunions, and it all starts building up to this one single profound question about who this person really was. I mean, who was he? Was he just an extraordinary king, a beloved son, and a devoted husband? Or was this entire human life a kind of performance, a divine play? The story itself really wants us to ask that question. And this is where things get really fascinating, because the text presents this huge paradox. On the one hand, he lived a completely human life. He enjoyed his family, he seemed deeply attached to his wives, he was a master politician who orchestrated massive wars. But then on the other hand, the text insists he was completely untouched by any of it. He was never swayed by desire, and in the very wars that he started, he himself stayed unarmed, totally aloof from the fighting.
So, in the end, the story leaves us with this beautiful mystery. How can someone be so deeply involved in the world, feeling love, inspiring devotion, playing politics, and yet remain completely free from it? The text suggests that this very paradox is the definition of divinity, being fully present in the world, but never ever trapped by it. And maybe that is the ultimate lesson from this king's incredible homecoming.